It's Politics Today, and I am Philip Omo-Gupon. We are getting stronger on the program as we get to the climax of the show, and we're having an opportunity to also discuss on the Edo Guba race, looking at the agenda and the policy thrust of the PDP gubernatorial candidate in Edo State, talking about Dr. Asue-Ogie and Esquire. And discussing with me on this is a grassroots politician, filmmaker, business administrator, a veteran broadcaster, a media luminary, and currently the Deputy Director General, Asue-Ogie Campaign Management Council, Dr. Don Pedro Baseki. Good to have you join.
Oh,
Where's Baba?
Also, all right. Where would they go? Ifar. And it is important for us to tell our people the truth as it is.
Okay.
So that we will not be victims of sophist, almost Mephistophelian, I don't want to use the word devilish covens that will set us back another decade or two. So I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you. Now, let's quickly hit the ground running, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
What do you see as the policy and trust programs, manifestos of the candidate of the PDP?
You see, I think of all those running, the only person who has put his manifesto, his face, his voice, and his touch on everything is Asue-Ogie. So I came here with this. I wish the camera can zoom on it. It is a deliberate manifesto crafted to address whatever challenges that he thinks Edo people face. And as a result, this has been in the public domain. We are singing it, we are talking it, the pathway to prosperity for all. And that is the encompassing vertebrae of the Asue-Ogie campaign. He has talked about 5 pillars upon which he will build upon what Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the current governor, has done. And he says, number 1 will be well-being. Because a happy people is a progressive people. He has promised to raise the bar from where it is now to something much higher. Because you cannot move a people forward if you don't raise their brain power upward. And when you look at him, he actually personifies the awareness that he wants to bring to Edo people. Because if you look at the man, like I heard Isaiah Washington Osifo say on the program just before I stepped in, you look at the man, you look at his friends, you look at his past, you look at his pedigree, because that is the only way you can craft an unseen future. He looked at the next one he's talking about is good governance. He looked at it, how do we continue the accountability quotient that has been foisted upon our governance space by Godwin Obaseki? All those who are attacking him today are attacking him because he don't share money. So when you listen to all the litany of sophist corner lies, it becomes preposterous for you to keep telling us that he's not hugging people, but he's paying salaries. He's paying backlogs of pensions. He has created a near Trump-like followership amongst the hoi polloi, the upwardly mobile middle class, and as well as those who were downtrodden. He has changed the entire governance space. We no longer have a situation where a governor stands at the very middle of Ring Road and tells a widow, if you be widow, uncle, go and die. That has changed. Akugbe Ventures dwelling on people, venturing and vampiring on poor people at Lagos Street or Ring Road. That is a thing of the very now distant past. Governance. So not sharing money to politicians who have not added value to the progress of the community and of the state at large. If that is a crime, I think that is a crime I'm so much willing to commit. You get my point? The people must be at the very epicenter of any discourse when it comes to deciding who sits on Sadebe Avenue. Not an unknown buccaneer, not a pirate of sorts who has refused, like you just said before you allowed my young friend and very intelligent former multiple commissioner to leave the seat. Because we cannot vote a phantom. He accused the PDP of not showing up yesterday at the ITV. We didn't show up for just one reason, and it's a reason based on principle. The PDP, Edo people are not going to vote for Pedro Agboinfo Obaseki. You are going to vote for Asue. So if Edo people have not seen the person that the APC is putting forward for us to vote, and he said he's talking to churches, Marebania, the few persons, the few times we have been able to have any form of leaked out engagements with them is we find an APC candidate who thinks a museum is a zoo. So that is not where Edo State is today. That is not where Edo State wants to get to. Or someone who, in his INEC form, he was born on the 29th of August, 1970, which unfortunately is a Saturday. And a man who on his WAEC results, where he had 4 Ds and 2 F9s, is born on the 29th of August, 1972, which was a Tuesday. And if you put any of those dates on the INEC portal to verify whether he's whether he's registered to vote, none of them shows up. When we now decided to put that strategically, trying all the dates in August for plus or minus 10 years, we found out that it was on August 1st, 1977 that he used in registering. His classmate Matthew told me that one was born in 1965. And Matthew told me, and my classmate, but he was a junior boy in school. So I told my boys, put all dates between 1964 and 1967 and find out where this man was born. And the only August 29th, that is a Monday, was August 29, 1966. So we have a candidate who is perpetually unelectable, being thrust on people via surrogates, speak for, stand for me, a Dayi. It's not an Edaiken that we are looking for. We are looking for a man who will. You just played an advert of Asue just now in Orion, talking to the people, moving amongst the people. And that is what we want. Prosperity for all, embodied and personified by the person of Asue-Ogie. You are looking at a man who might be too rich to steal. Chairman of Nigeria's biggest, fastest moving, largest consumer goods company, Nigerian Breweries. Chairman of a bank that is doing well, raised from a grade C bank to a grade A bank. Chairman of Dangote Flour. Chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a man who is a mobile encyclopedia of the economic landscape and how to engineer it amongst our people. Now let's look at the next one. It's looking at the environment. Edo is at the very epicenter of Nigeria. You cannot traverse from any part of the west to the east, from the south to the north, without passing a particular territory of Edo State. And Asue-Ogie, in this well-written, beautifully crafted manifesto that straddles the entire value chain, has what it takes to continue and raise us another notch higher. He talks about the last pillar is security, law, and order. These are things that you cannot thrive as a business in an unsecured environment. Prior to now, we know how Edo State used to be, and we know where we are. So we as the party is serious coming together, not just a motley of political journeymen who are using propaganda, serial propaganda that they have now raised to the level of high art. Edo don't pass that level. So here I am. I will speak for Asue because I hear Asue speak. I will talk for Asue because I hear Asue talk. So I look at the man in the face, and I can now begin to decipher, if this man, they think like this, maybe now this man will give my picking to. Because you cannot hand over the future of your children and their children's children to the manifestation of a phantom. It is preposterous at best. So I think as we go towards the election, it is important to educate our people. Make them they shine their eye. Because every day you wake up for money, APC dey your pocket. Once you know, say, on the 28th of May, 2023, just last year, you dey buy fuel for only 190 something naira. Now you dey buy them for 800 naira. APC dey your pocket. When you remember, say, when Jonathan dey, when PDP come out for this our country, Nigeria, you dey buy bag of rice for 85,000 naira. 8,500. Today you dey buy them for 85,000 or 90,000 naira. APC to your pocket. So for APC to campaign, it go hard.
Okay, I'll quickly cut
Sorry,
it there.
We
will be extending the frontiers of this discussion after this timeout. We'll take a short break this day.
Forward ever you go, if I swear there we go prosper. Alago down, we know they go back. I swear you go down low for governor. Forward ever you go, if I swear.
It's EDO 2024, and we're looking at the perspectives, the policy thrust and agenda of the PDP gubernatorial candidate and the person of Dr. Asue-Ogie alongside Barrister Asue-Ogie. And I've been speaking with Dr. Dan Pedro Obaseki. Now, let's quickly extend the frontiers of this discussion. Now, Nigerians have been on the peak of making sure that there is accountability in governance. And those citizens are also urging for that, because we look at the need for not just to talk about what you want to do, but when you now become the governor, you know, matching your words with actions. Now, what can be the confidence or the hope or the trust, or what do you see as Edo citizens holding on to that the Asue-Ogie candidacy, if it becomes the governor, will really match words with actions?
You see, let me also go back again to your question that you asked, to the answer preferred by the question, into the question you asked Washington Osifo.
Okay.
You see, by their fruits, we shall know them. When you look at the antecedents, you will know if you can hold him you can hold him to his words. Then in terms of accountability in the governance space, in Edo State, the Edo State is the only state in Nigeria that presently has a totally transparent e-gov. And that e-gov takes away the crookishness of a paperful environment into a paperless one. So we already know that Edo State operates a system whereby from every project using their e-gov portal, you can track the entire transaction of government and benchmark that against the budget. That is why, in spite of the fact that we are the least earning state in the South among the oil-producing states, we just got an allocation of about 11 billion. Delta got 43 billion. Bayelsa got 29.7 billion. Rivers got almost 40 billion. Akwa Ibom got an astronomical 41.2 billion. We are the ones amongst all these I have mentioned that is not owing a single day of salaries, no backlogs of pensions. So this is showing that there is a new way of doing things. But I also want, because a contest is not between one person. It is between 1+ people. So we have Asue and the others who are running against Asue. So we also have to be able to benchmark or put side by side, waiting Asue saying go do, waiting the others saying them say them go do. Unfortunately, we only have waiting Asue saying go do, we not get waiting the others say them go do. It's just a matter of looking at it. He talked about good governance. He's talked about economic growth. He's talked about those pillars that will move the people forward. That is a forward ever I do. If Asue did there, we go prosper. Allah will die, we know they go back. So if I look at all that and you look at all that, you know that, oh, this is a man who has no political baggage, who has no litany of godfathers, who is not going to be a puppet put in the front, you know, like a mannequin being manipulated by unknown hands, although we know their faces. That is what we should do. A man who is Who is going to control Asue-Ogie? Me want to ask you now. Person when already be chairman of bank. Who want to control her? But you know, basically, we don't get time control. You don't get time for that kind of. Maybe look at her. You look the man. Who won't come, they use backyard, they control somebody when they already be chairman of Dangote. Who you want to control when we say the man are chairman of the National Economic Summit Group when they decide how Nigeria want to move on an economic scale? Who want to control a man who is reputed by Forbes and Fortune's 500 as having the second largest African law firm with 125 lawyers, out of which about 4 or 5 of them are senior advocates? May you think and first. Because this is not rocket science. So when you look at it, and then you look at the sincerity of purpose, his ability to reach out to people, when you look at his heritage, his background, when you look at his educational background, he went to arguably the best and first university in Nigeria, the University of Ibadan. He went to one of the best schools in the United Kingdom, the London Business School. He's a lawyer, he's an economist, certified, primed, proved, delivered, and not the ones whom we are not sure of his date of birth. We don't know where he go primary school. We don't know who is sponsored by someone who did not even know his own primary school. I'm talking about Asue-Ogie, who has decided to embark on a horse of spewing garbage lies to Edo people. We gave that man a demand, we never knew him. And they are telling us, Asue not be this, Asue not be that. What you are just hearing is a continuous litany of lies that we need to educate our people. Our people needs to be enlightened. May they shine their eye. Let me tell this. In some of their vituperations, make I speak for all of them lie when they lie for everywhere. They'll say, no, it's not the state Benin. Meanwhile, there is no single business address of Monday Okpeolu that is in Edo State. Everything is just and Plateau State. Let's look at it. Then let's look at Asue-Ogie. I was one of those who went to Obubra. I'm not saying it, he knows. On that helicopter to come and make him be governor of Edo State after his declaration for Labour Party. He finished primary school in what do you call it? In Kaduna. A man who started life in Kakuri, Kaduna, went to Narahi in Kaduna, joined the United Nigerian Textiles Company in Kaduna, rose in Kaduna to become vice chairman or vice president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, became president of the Nigerian Labour Congress. He was brought to Benin by the other political people in the fight between Loki Benedion and Tony Aneni. Is that the kind of litany of bad blood that Asue has? The answer is a cabodo no.
Okay, thank you. I think you've articulated the point, because I was even coming towards the aspect of godfatherism.
Yes.
If we're not going to have an emergence of a godfather after the current governor leaves the office, leaves Osadebe Avenue, and if Asue-Ogie now finds his way to the office, but you've been able to
that's why the godfathers
skillfully and craftily tackle that aspect.
Thank you.
And you also touched the area where I'm also interested about, the e-governance. I understand that that's a focal point,
it's the fulcrum,
a pivotal part
yes.
of his policy thrust.
Yes.
But again, some have also said, how can he use that to improve the numbers of employment in Edo State? Because at present, the civil service seems to be not having that number as much as is expected in terms of employment. So what is he going to do to bring about a difference?
You know, per capita, taking into consideration our population, our demography and spread, and the GDP, that's the gross domestic product of the people, and then the PPP, the purchasing power parity of the economy. Edo State is one of the largest civil services in the state. That's, in those days, they used to say Edo State is a civil servant state. In those days. But that has changed.
Are you talking about the numbers?
I'm talking about numbers. Now, in terms of employment, let me put it this way. I do not think, as a person, Pedro as a person, I am not Asue here now. I do not think that government has any business in business. I do not think that the government should be the first line of employment. I believe that those, look at me, I've never been in government. I've never been commissioner, I've never been local government leader, I've never been, no. But I have signposted myself as a child born in Edo State, who went to University of Benin. The only thing I had, I was a lecturer once at the University of Benin. But as someone whose head has been opened up because my space has been created, there is an upward mobility by creating the enabling environment for Pedro to try. Whether I like it or not, my PhD led to private, my PhD led to why you are here. My PhD led to private broadcasting in Nigeria. I am also the first president of Nollywood for 9 years. So anybody who is in Nollywood today is a direct beneficiary of a creation that was by accident. When I produced the Godo, or when I did Eziza, or when I started music, producing Ayangba, producing Rugged Man, the first P-Square, Zulezu Kerewa, I'm also the first person to sponsor Rema's first album. So I know that if you give an Edo man a little space to ebb, he occupies space, he grabs it. So we must create a situation where persons who can open that vista for our people are in government. Not a situation whereby because people who are good, because people who are educated, because people who have a more forward, upwardly mobile view of the governance government.
So what you're saying that the numbers will increase?
Of course.
Okay,
it's already increasing. Look at Benin. If you are flying into Benin now from the air, you see a capital expansion. Let's be frank.
I have another question.
Yes.
As per how to make Edo State work, most especially as in improving on what His Excellency Governor Asue-Ogie has been on.
Yes.
Because there's also need, we look at the fair subsidy remover and the hardship, the groanings that the citizens of the country
caused by the APC government
have been embroidered into.
Yes.
Now, is it looking at that direction where he can also, as a sub-national government, if he becomes the governor, to tackle these aspects in order to bring succor to the people?
Philip, who pay your school fees? No, I want to ask. Who pay your school fees? Compare me pay your school fees. If you die alive, God will do progression. If you don't die, may lie down for heaven.
Of course, my dad.
Your dad is a great man, and you are a representation of that.
Thank you.
Do you know why I'm saying that? You are asking a question that already has a plethora of answers if we just look a little bit beyond the propaganda. How do we expand this space? How will this space expansion affect the man next door, the common man? And that is where I think Asue stands out amongst everybody. Looking at what has been put on ground now. Whether we like it or not, I may not be the best friend of God in Obaseki. Anybody in the political space knows that this is Petro. Obaseki. Because I was brought up in a family where you are allowed to have capacity for independent thought. And I believe that Godwin has also impacted that on the larger Edo populace. Look at Edo State today. Let's be frank. Look at the entire Saple Road. In those days, my father used to say that if you don't know Saple Road, no be problem, because once you enter up Saple Road, now one bad thing, hospital, from hospital, police station, court, opposite, prison. But look at the entire landscape of Saple Road now has been altered because of Godwin Obaseki. And I believe that Godwin supporting an Asue is a continuation, not only of the things in the governance.
Okay, I'll come back to you to take the concluding part of this conversation after this short break. Do stay with us.
Forward ever I go. If Asue-Ogie, we go prosper. Alagoda, we know they go back. Asue-Ogie, low for governor. Forward ever I go. If Asue-Ogie, we go prosper. Aloha, we know they go back. Asue-Ogie, low for governor.
Sure you go vote for PDP.
Oh yes.
PDP.
Oh yes.
Vote Igodalo.
Oh yes.
Igoduam.
Oh yes.
Man we sabi.
Oh yes.
Integrity.
Oh yes.
Igo better mama.
Oh yes.
Better papa.
Oh yes.
Go better pikin.
Oh yes.
Better Edo.
Oh yes.
Aye.
Forward ever Edo. If Asue-Ogie, we go prosper. Alagoda, we know they go back. Asue-Ogie, low for governor.
Vote Asue-Ogie for governor 2024.
While the concluding part of politics today, Dr. Pedro Obaseki, let's get to your closing remarks on this.
My closing remarks is very simple. Edo State cannot be handed over to political journeymen and buccaneers who have put forward a man whose nickname is Akpakomiza. Akpakomiza in Bini Pantheon, which I also think is in Esan Pantheon, is the man who takes over and watches over the witches' coven. Go and ask anybody. When in those days when we were younger and you are misbehaving, is the description of a kidnapper. We don't want that in our space. Let us, and for those who have turned lies, even from Adan Soshomole to the lowest foot soldier in the APC, telling people that Asue is not in the race, because they are not running. Only one person is running on behalf of the Commonwealth of Odo people, and his name is Dr. Barrister Asue-Ogie, and his deputy Barrister Asue-Ogie.
Thank you, Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki.
God bless you. God bless you, my brother.
And this is why we call it a wrap on politics today. See you on the next one. I am Philip Omo Gupon. Goodbye.